Hey, y'all. Welcome back to the Psych Gym. I'm Vanessa Perry, your trainer for the day. And I want to talk to you about a thing that is currently frustrating the shit out of me. And so why not turn it into a podcast? I'm like the Taylor Swift of podcasts, right? If I'm going through it, I'm going to talk about it. It's part of my process. And I love that actually, because I feel like it is spoken with a lot of authenticity when I am, either going through something or kind of on the tail end of it, because I've talked about this with a lot of my clients sometimes, is that I may remember things that I've gone through, and that's great because I've gone through them. But sometimes you forget stuff, right? Like you start to talk about the end part of it, and maybe you're missing some of the real process, and that sucks, right? Because when you're trying to follow what somebody tells you is their process and they're missing like 5 pieces of it, you're not going to get where they did, right? And so to me, I feel like unless I also expose the mucky part of it and the process part of it, there's going to be things that are missing, right? And so that's why on my social media, I try to be more transparent than I ever was and not just give you like, oh, hey, here's where I started and here's where I ended up. I let you guys see some of that messy middle because it serves two purposes. It lets you know that I am a human too, that I may have all of these tools and you may have watched me like create this beautiful life from whatever the fuck I was doing before. And that's great. But those of you who've seen my process, it's way more inspiring, right? Because you're like, oh, I watched her do it the whole way, and she fumbled and she fucked up a lot, but she still kept going, and that's where the inspiration is, right? So I love to do that. I love to show you some of the messy middle so that you can not miss any parts of the process. So today we are going to talk about sitting in the delay when you're trying to fucking manifest something. And you can tell that I'm fired up because I'm cussing already. I am already cussing because I am not a patient person, and I try very hard to be a patient person, but I'm impatient with myself about being impatient. So it's perfect to talk about this today. The delays when you're trying to create your life. It's not even just about manifestations. It's just trying to get shit done. And it's like not happening. So, you know what I'm talking about. You're doing all the work. You're setting your intentions. Maybe you are actually getting some of the things that you want, but what you really want, like the whole totality of it, not showing up, right? Like the relationship is either not showing up or it's not sticking around. The career is not like picking up, the healing, you're still in the depths of hell with it. And you're like, why the fuck is this still happening? The peace, the dream. Why isn't it happening? What am I doing wrong? Or why? We might even start having ridiculous conversations like, why am I not deserving of this? Yikes. That's so crazy when you think about the universe having your back, which it does, to think that somewhere out there they think you're not worthy. That's not true. You're just not ready, probably. Well, there I go. Podcast over. um, so here's the thing. A delay isn't a punishment. It's part of the process. There's purpose in it. And when we do understand that, it is, I don't even want to say easier because depending on what it is that you're looking for, it might not, it just sucks all around. But we stop fighting the delay, I think is probably a good way to say it. And we start to learn from it. We start to embody the learning process versus just being in all that frustration and temper tantrums. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Gosh, the football game that is on is distracting me. I'm like, why are they cheering? What's going on? Who scored? But onward. Should have turned it off. Whatever. Here we go. Let's start though, because I love the word manifesting. I love it so much. The way that it carries in my life is like, yes, because I love, it sounds so magical. And the way that I do things feels very manifestation magic. But it's alignment more than anything. And alignment does take time. So it's that idea that we're not just waving a magic wand, we're getting in a lane, right? Like we're getting in a lane and we're staying in it. God, even that was just triggering. I don't want to be in. Currently, the lane I have to be in is one I do not want to be in. Anyway, delays are here for a reason. Let's talk about a couple of the reasons why something might not be happening. We're being prepared, right? Sometimes the universe, and what I hate about this is that it's true. We're not ready. We're not ready for what it is. Not because we're not worthy of it, but because we're still growing the skills to hold it, right? Like we're still like, this is the psych gym, right? So we're talking about like creating the muscles to be able to hold the thing. I talk about this sometimes when people are talking about getting a big lump sum of money, because this is how I learned it, is that I realized that, and I mean, this was up until recently. I still do this a little bit, but I don't do it nearly as bad as I used to. And I did it a lot in romantic relationships, where the second somebody said that they wanted something, I was trying to make it happen. I was like, I will spend my money on it. I will spend my time on it. This was part of my I need to earn your love quest that I've had to discover. What I discovered was really getting in my way, right? So I would always be like, oh, if somebody just gave me a ton of money, I would be so great. And then somebody said, no, you wouldn't, because you'd just give it away. And I was like, what are you saying? And, I think they used MC Hammer. They were like, you'd be like MC Hammer. Like you'd go broke because you just don't have any boundaries. And it was like, well, first of all, fuck you. Second of all, thank you. Because it's true, right? People aren't going to manifest through me things that they don't deserve. And so therefore, I'm not going to get the thing that I deserve if I'm going to pass it to somebody who isn't supposed to have it. Right? So that was a thing that I had to learn, being like, man, you don't have boundaries. And so if you think you're going to get something that you're not going to treat with proper respect, or you're going to drop the ball, it's not going to come to you because you're not meant to drop that ball. That would be so devastating. The universe is not going to do that for you or to you, right? So, and then when I look back in my life at all the things that I bitched about weren't coming fast enough, and then I see how the process actually got me super duper ready. Yeah. So I'm sitting in that right now where I'm saying, okay, I'm learning the skills. I really am. I see how I'm being tested by this person in particular, and how I am actually really growing from it, because it's this person in particular and nobody else was able to trigger me that way. Okay, I see it. Doesn't help all the time, but it helps a decent amount of time, right? Because I do have some ability to look backwards and see that process has happened multiple times in my life in my favor. The delay can also help give us clarity, right? So I a lot of times I give this analogy when people are talking about changes that they're going to make in their life in sessions, because I'll say, okay, we're going to have that as our goal, but what we're going to remember is not to have the blinders on, because there might be something along the path that's better, but we don't know yet because we don't have enough information, right? So, like how many times has this happened, guys, where you thought you wanted something and you were like, oh my God, I want it so bad. And then you started to go toward it and you were like, oh God, I don't fucking want this. Yikes, right? It's a clarity point. And so not getting exactly what you want might be able to help you go toward what you do want, right? Those of you who maybe listen to Abraham Hicks, she's always saying, like, if you know what you don't want, you know what you do want. And it was like, oh God, right? Like, so sometimes that delay gives me some time to have some clarity. I don't want this actually, or I only want a piece of this. So if we're being delayed, sometimes we're given the opportunity to look in the periphery instead of trying to have our blinders on and be looking straight ahead the whole time. Also, a delay can show up for redirection, which is kind of goes with that clarity thing, right? Something you couldn't have seen if it came instantly, right? So if I teleport, I might miss something along the way, right? So if I think hey, the best place for me is Key West, but the best place for me might be Naples, right? So maybe I need to drive down the coast. And as I see Naples, I go, oh, fuck Key West. I'm so here, right? So sometimes there is something better and we just have to be on that path in order to see it. It's not within our vision field yet. And so we have to be redirected toward it. And we just start walking the path, right? That's what my clients know. Just start walking the path because the next thing will come up and you'll either know to go there or you know not to. But we cannot do the entire thing right now. We cannot predict the entire thing right now. We don't have enough information. You're going to get some more information while you're walking the path. Anybody who's listening to this, that's my client, is like, you know what? I didn't want to hear that today. I hear it enough in session. Sorry. And then also the last reason why that I'm going to talk to you about that a delay might show up is for integration. Sometimes our little nervous systems and our belief systems need to catch up. And this is, I'm laughing because this is my major problem right now. So y'all know I talk about relationships a lot because I was put on this earth to figure out relationships with my soul this time. And one of the things that has been challenging me in terms of relationships lately is my belief systems and my nervous system in particular, because the things that I asked for, when I got a tiny taste of them, I did not know how to act. My beliefs went crazy. My nervous system went crazy. And I was like, man, I do not have skills for this. So the delay in not getting exactly what I wanted and exactly the way that I decided I wanted it was because my nervous system and my little belief systems needed to catch up to that being a reality and be able to, it's almost like that holding thing, right? I needed to be able to make that integration part of it. Like, this is the thing that you want. And now this is how your nervous system is going to handle it. And this is going to be your new belief system, right? And we're going to practice that over and over because this person's going to trigger the fuck out of you over and over, and let your nervous system like learn these things, right? And so just integrating new beliefs and new ways of responding and new somatic responses so that we can receive that thing without freaking out about it, right? Or pushing it away because it doesn't quite match our belief systems, even though we think it does, right? Because sometimes when we talk about the things that we want, we don't even actually believe that we can have it. And that is a direct clash, right? I'm not going to get what I ask for. I'm going to get what I believe I should have. That's the one that sucks. So let's think about that. Think about something that you've been waiting on, something that hasn't been happening for you. And think of which one of those 4 things that I talked about: preparation, clarity, redirection, and integration. Which one of those things makes the most sense of why you might not be having it? You might be fucked like me and all of it is there. Right? Like, I don't know how to hold certain things because I'll give you, here we go. Not on the script, but I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to give you me in relationship. Y'all are about to get an inside look, right? How this works for me, because I am ready. 46 years old. Finally think that I'm ready for a partner, like an actual one, not just somebody who's around. And I'm struggling, right? Like I thought I found that person and it's not going right. There's big, giant delays in there's been tons of delays, like universal interaction delays. Like, I'm not going to say them out loud because it's just telling of the whole thing. But I mean, things that don't happen happened, right? So I thought about it and I was like, why is this happening? So preparation, right? I did not have the skills that it took to think about actually having somebody inside my house, actually having somebody sit with me while I'm watching football or golf or hockey or whatever. There was a lot of mental prep that I had to do to say, this is what your life is actually going to be like. That's what you're asking for. And what skills are you going to need, right? You're going to need different kinds of patience. You're going to need, to be able to like compromise, right? And I'm not a terrible compromiser. But also you have to feel like it's not, FOMO isn't going to come in and you're not going to be like, oh man, like I gotta do this because that person doesn't like it. So there's a lot of mental prep that I had to do that I didn't think about because in my past relationships, I didn't have to think about it. Right. It was this specific person that came into my life that was different from anybody else that I had been with. So there were a lot more things for me to think about that were going to be part of my life, right? And so I I wasn't ready, and I know that. I wasn't ready for what I was barreling into because I was barreling. I was like, I'm feeling the feels, let's freaking do it. And then blammo, something came in, fucked us both up, and that happened. So then clarity, right? So then I had all this time. I hated all this time. I had all this time to really think about what is it that you want? Because if it was so hard for you to go through that preparation talk, are you really asking for what you want or are you just kind of saying things, right? So let's really settle in there. Is this the person that you want? Is this the lifestyle that you want? Is this the, just all of it, right? Like just getting really, really clear on what I think actually fits me now that I had it and didn't have it. Then I had to think about redirection. I did, because there's something about fear that comes in for people like me, where you don't trust yourself sometimes because you've made some pretty interesting decisions in your life, and so you have to sit with the idea that is there something different that's supposed to be coming in, and you're just putting your head down and refusing redirection, right? And then I had to think about, am I refusing redirection when it comes to this particular person and the direction that we're going in, right? Is this supposed to go differently than what you think it's supposed to be? And that would be better. And that turned out to be true, which sucked, right? Because all of this chaos and everything really just was very good, for both of us in terms of the things that we had to learn and heal. So yay, not yay, redirection. And then integration. My nervous system and my belief system went insane for a little bit. It was very difficult for me to deal with my somatic nerves. And then the trauma stories that would come in that turns out that they were belief systems that I had about relationships and about men in particular and about myself even. And that was so difficult for me to face because I've done so much work already. And I felt like I felt so ready when this situation came in, but I still had so much more integration to do. I'm still working on some of it. I'm still working on some of the belief systems about myself and how to speak to people and how to not let my saboteur be the person driving, because that bitch really wants to close doors real fast because her nervous system can't handle the in-between. She can't handle fluctuations. There's a lot of fear in there. So I have to learn how to integrate my nervous system and beliefs so that I can feel solid and that my trauma stories won't come in, give my saboteur the keys, and start pushing and poking and grasping for reassurance and be able to kind of just sit in belief and faith that everything's going to be fine. So you're welcome for that. If you wanted to know what I've been going through, and again, like this is kind of an instance where I've gone through a lot of that already. So you didn't see too much of the muck of that. I'm definitely in a way better place with that, but that's how it worked for me. That's what I had to do. And it's been months long of trying to do all of those things and managed to actually have communication with that person even, right? So it was like triggers and triggers and triggers, but those were for a reason. I have learned so much and grown so much from all of those things. And I can see that now in the middle of some of them. I was like, what the fuck is going on? Why can't you just like put us together? We got this. It'll be fine. Like, no, it won't. Neither one of you are fine. Right. And now I look back on it and I'm like, yeah, neither one of us were fine. That was going to crash and burn spectacularly because neither one of us was paying attention. Right. So sit and think about that. Right. Like, that was a nice example, but there may be some other things that are delayed in your life that have nothing to do with relationships. And I just gave you a spiel for nothing, but hopefully some of that helped you ask the right questions, at least for whatever situation it is you feel like isn't coming to you. So let's think about how that thing I was talking about before, this anxiety and self-doubt that shows up, from the mental health perspective, what happens to us when the delays come in? Because this is the psych gym, so we got to talk about that too. We might ask ourselves, am I doing something wrong? Do I even deserve this? If you're me, you're battling your runner who's like, just fucking give up. Just like go somewhere else. Go do something else. Right? Like that saboteur, man. She's got a lot of different tools. But the delays actually help us build resilience. It helps us, be patient and learn to trust. One of the things that, oh man, trust. You think I thought I didn't have a trust issue. I have major trust and faith issues sometimes, especially in things that feel good, because I think they might stop being good, because a lot of times they have, right? It teaches us to surrender. It forces us to confront part of us that thinks that speed is the way, right? Like that speed makes it, if it happens fast, it means that we're worthy or that it's meant to be. And that a delay means it must not be meant to be. And let me tell you, I've said this before out loud, and I know that I have, that sometimes that does happen. But when we talked about this delay before, right, the patience, the trust, and the surrender isn't about, I trust that thing is going to happen if I wait. It is, I trust that the delay is going to tell me something. And I just need to follow the process. I need to let the process, because either I'm going to get the thing, or I'm going to get a different variation of it, or I'm going to be redirected, or my clarity is going to change the viewpoint of what it is that I want. But I have to trust that that's one of those things is going to happen during this delay. So I won't force myself to let the saboteur speed it up. It really is the truth. If everything you wanted arrived instantly, you would not be a deep people. We wouldn't have gratitude, and we would certainly not have any wisdom. Like, we wouldn't know stuff. So we grow in delay, and it shapes us into people who can carry dreams and create dreams without losing ourselves, if we actually allow this growth to happen. So again, like let's just sit with that for a second and think about times when we didn't get what we wanted right away. It took longer than we expected. And what did we learn during that time? What were things that did actually make us either stronger or wiser, or, helped us calm our inner saboteur down so that she could just watch instead of freak out? How did that work for you? Because going back there can be really helpful, right? So that it helps us in the today to be able to wait, knowing that in this delay process, the clarity will come and we will understand, and it will be okay, because it's always going to be okay. We always make it okay in the end. Some of the lessons that we might learn during these delays, I want you to think about these kind of things. Maybe it pumps you up a little bit in the delay to, like, this is what I'm learning. Self-worth. You might actually realize that your value is not defined by that thing that you're waiting for. What are you talking about? Jobs, money, relationships, they do not shape your worthiness in this world, but sometimes that will happen. People who are like, oh my God, I'm not married and I'm 30. Their self-worth is tied up in not being married at 30. Oh my God, right? Like, let's sit and think with that. It happens all the time. You're still valuable. You're still a beautiful, wonderful person. And once you let go of that belief system, you might be able to do something different. Maybe you don't get married until you're 35, but your years between 30 and 35 are amazing because you let yourself live without that feeling. of your worthiness not existing. We also learn trusting in the timing. Blech. I don't like that one, but it is the one that I have to work on every single time there's a delay. I have to say, you got to trust the timing. You have to trust the timing. You have to trust the timing. And it's not going to be on your comfortable timeline because you are uncomfortable in the middle. Trust that it's going to happen exactly when it's supposed to happen and exactly how it's supposed to happen. We also learn to release control because control is an illusion. It is not even a real thing. Even the saboteur who comes out and does control situations, mine, she knows exactly what to do. Like, oh, see, it happened. Like, bitch, you made that happen. That was not, you controlled an outcome, but that was not, you did not have control, because if you had not showed up, something different might have happened. And that would mean that you don't control it. So, no. Surrender can feel like freedom if you let it, but sometimes it feels very ungrounded and scary. But we don't control anything. We really don't. We think we do, and we can force outcomes, but that doesn't mean that they're the greatest outcomes either, right? That's what I have to tell my saboteur. Like, you can make that happen, but that's not even what you want to happen. But if you push to make that happen and it does happen, you're going to be really upset that you didn't just wait, or that you couldn't just wait, because now you ruined it. Now you messed it up. We can also, in the delay, learn how to appreciate the present, right? A lot of times when we're looking for something, we're deciding that our life right now is not good enough without that thing. And y'all, that is not cool. It also fucks up our manifestation, right? We have to be in gratitude, because if I'm not in gratitude now with things that I absolutely have asked for in the past and received now, that doesn't sound good for the future, right? Why am I going to be handed something that I'm just going to probably drop on the floor anyway when I'm like, oh, it's not shiny anymore. It's not good enough anymore, right? Let's appreciate what we have in the present, no matter what it is, right? Even if what we have in the present is a dream, we can sit with that, right? And be like, the fact that I even allowed myself to step outside of what I was trained to believe is pretty friggin' amazing. I'm the first one who's going to do that in my family, right? So one of those things might be part of your delay right now. So we can think about that too, of what we're learning. Sometimes it helps me just focus, right? On being able to say, some things that just take time. They like that I know that they take time, and I trust that they take time. I might be sitting in my gratitude and appreciating the process, right? Appreciating the present. Oh, I love this. I love creating this. It takes time to create this, and I really love creating it, so that I'm having a great time during that, instead of stressing out the entire time that it's not done yet, right? So how do we work with these things? How do we stay steady? I don't know. Just kidding. I do. In certain situations, I'm great at it. At other situations, it's very difficult for me. So, I understand this stuff. I get it. That's why I'm talking about it today, because it's a real thing for me right now in certain ways. And then there are other ways where I'm killing it. I know how to wait. Sometimes I want to wait, because I'm like, oh, I'm going to be really responsible then. And I'm not really that interested in that responsibility yet. So let's let that process. So how can we do this? Gratitude, like we were just talking about, focus on what's already here, not just what's missing, right? Be, grateful for how you got to where you are right now, because it can also help you feel good about yourself, right? When I look around and I think, I really like the place that I live in right now. It's a lot better than where I was living before. It might not be my dream forever, but God, this feels great, right? While I'm going toward the next thing. This is great, because I used to not have this, and now I do. You can also take some aligned action. Just keep taking those small steps that are in that lane with your intention. Don't obsess about the outcome, because again, we're still remembering that sometimes things along that path are the meant to be things, and we just haven't seen them yet. But if we're walking the path, if we're staying in that lane and we're saying, hey, I'm pretty sure that this is where I'm trying to go, and look, there's the path. Here's the stone that showed up right in front of me. Let me step on that one. Oh, okay. Yep, that felt great. What's the next step? I'm going to do that too. Keep taking aligned action because you can only take one step at a time. Yeah. So you might as well take one step at a time. Take some steps. We need to also let go of the timelines. Oh, God. Me and time. I know that time doesn't exist. Time is an illusion, but yet I'm very impatient. Welcome to me. Instead of saying, when will it happen? Why isn't it happening? Just keep talking about that alignment. How do I do something today that brings me closer? How do I be in alignment with that? Sometimes it's going to look like meditation. Sometimes it's going to look like writing a new goals list or writing, something a little bit different about what you believe about it today. How do I show up for it today? Do I have a conversation with somebody about the thing that I'm trying to create? Right? Not thinking that it has to happen next week or else, because we don't know that information yet, right? We could start taking those steps and it could happen tomorrow. We don't really know because we don't have that information, but take the step, take the next step and see. You'll at least be moving forward. And then self-care. Yeah, we know that that's part of everything. We have to, when we're working in delays, we have to be increasing our self-care, not our aftercare. Don't wait until you're freaking out, but just know hey, this is a path that I'm deciding to be on, and how am I going to support myself every single day in a positive way so that I can restore my energy, I can rest, I can be healing, and be in that feeling of caring for myself. So I don't know if either one of those or if any of those kind of smashed into you, but you might want to sit with that for a second and think hey, what are these things I can do? One of these things or all of these things. What can I do? What feels most important? Do I feel like I am stressing about the timeline and that's the thing I need to work on? Am I feeling like I'm burning myself out and I need to increase my self-care so that I don't need so much aftercare? Do I feel like I'm doing nothing and I need to start taking some sort of aligned action because I'm stuck in trying to create a plan? Or do I simply need to understand, hey man, the process is processing. Just be really fucking grateful, because sometimes that's the answer. Big story, the big picture is that a delay isn't always a block telling you that you are not allowed to have that thing. They're often bridges either to being able to hold the thing or to be able to climb up a little bit higher and see something different that you wouldn't have seen unless you climbed up there. The delays, they have lessons, they have growth. And yeah, sometimes they do protect us, right? Because when we make goals with the information we have right now, sometimes we don't have the right information. And so we need that delay time to get the right information and change what it is that we're running toward. So the next time that you feel that you're frustrated because your manifestation hasn't arrived or you're not getting what you want, I want you to just stop and think about this podcast. What might be the purpose of this delay? What am I learning? Who do I need to become, or who am I becoming? And how is this weight shaping me? How is this growing me? Because a lot of times, again, even just sitting and being like, man, my belief system is making me impatient. I don't believe that this is happening, or I don't have faith in that person. That sucks. I that's not fair. I need to learn how to have faith in that person. I need to learn how to trust that person's words are true. And that's the delay, because if I don't learn that now and I'm in a relationship with them, I'm always going to feel that way because my belief system is to not trust them, even though they have no reason to not be trusted. Right? So when we actually sit and ask ourselves those questions, those are the answers that come up so that we can evolve into the person who can have and hold and bask in our manifestations. So maybe it's not even really about what you're waiting for. Maybe it's who you're becoming. Oh, right. I keep talking about my soul's journey. I know I'm trying to evolve my soul through relationships, through romantic relationships. I don't know if that means that there's going to be a big one or if this is just part of the evolution. I don't know. I'm trying to have faith and just follow. So thank you again for being here. If this episode resonated with you, or you think that somebody that you know could use a little bit of this information, make sure that you share that with them. And, just sit and remember that your delay has a purpose and you are exactly where you need to be right now, even if you want to light everything on fire like I do. So, as always, thank you for listening and letting me be your guide today. Love you. Thanks for listening. To learn more about what I do and how to work with me, head to thepsychgym.com to check it out. Keep lifting, y'all. It's worth it.